In the United States, a new survey by the country's Census Bureau provides some important insights into the changing racial makeup of the country. And the survey was unveiled on Thursday. It has triggered quite a storm among American conservatives. Here's why. The survey says that America's white population remains the largest ethnic group in the country, but it has shrunk by almost 9% over the last decade. It now accounts for almost 58% of the US population. It's the lowest share on record. To put things in perspective, the number of non-Hispanic white people in the US was 196 million in 2010, a little more than 63% of the total American population. In 2020, that figure shrank to 191 million. It now constitutes 57.8% of the US population. This has apparently happened for the first time in American history. The survey further says that white Americans are no longer the dominant group in at least 4 places: Hawaii, New Mexico, District of Columbia, and California, America's most populous state. In fact, the steepest fall has happened here. Between 2010 and 2020, the white population in California has dropped from 40% to 34%. During the same period, the Hispanics, people from Spanish-speaking countries, became the largest racial group. They grew from a little over 37% to more than 39% over the decade. The conservatives say that these figures are alarming, that they represent a threat to white identity in the US. But the liberals say this only proves that the US has become more diverse than ever. They say the white population is not shrinking, but shifting to multiracial identities, to people who identify themselves as belonging to 2 or more races. Let's look at some more figures. According to the survey, the number of people who identify themselves as multiracial has almost tripled. From 9 million in 2010, the figure has gone to 33.8 million in 2020. They now account for 10% of the US overall. That's a rise of at least 276%. But does the growing diversity mean inclusivity? Far from it. Racism in the US is still on the rise, and you don't need any surveys to prove this. There are enough and more figures. But for the sake of perspective, let me give you this one. According to an April 2021 survey, this year's survey, April, America is among the 10 worst countries for racial equality, 10 worst in the world. A total of 78 countries were assessed. The US found itself on the 69th spot, finishing lower than China. According to another survey by the Northwestern University in Chicago on racism in America, 70% of black Americans said they continue to face racism. So did 45% Asians living in America and 25% Hispanics. What do all these figures tell you? That racism continues to be a reality in an America that likes to call itself multiracial. Is it because the white population in the US is shrinking? Is it because white Americans feel threatened that they will soon be in minority? Is it because they feel they will lose their identity? There are no easy answers to this question. It's got a lot to do with politics as well. All we can say is that the US has never been this polarized. And since we're talking about a census, here in India, socio-economic caste surveys on the cards, an exercise that will include collection of data from OBCs, other backward castes, and this hasn't been finalized yet, but the proposal is strongly being discussed. And even before it is conducted, there are apprehensions of all kinds. Some quarters feel the data will provide ammunition for the removal of reservation. Some feel it will be used to push for a hike in OBC quota. And there's a third quarter which says the only purpose will be to target welfare programs at backward castes in a better way. Well, whatever the case, we'll wait and see what the findings are if such a survey is conducted. WION is now available in your country. Download the app now and get all the news on the move.